Hello everybody, my name is John Seeley. I am the head of design and the leader of Raindog Studios. We are just starting on wanting to produce the first game for you that is this Indiegogo project's main focus. The Indiegogo project will fund the studio in entirety, as well as get us what we need to produce the first game, Maverick's Master Key. A little bit about the game itself is that it'll be a very Final Fantasy-like top-down RPG that it'll essentially revolve around the same group of adventurers, but it'll allow you to choose which one you want to play as, and if your character gets killed, then you've lost the game. However, your other party members can go down in the process, so it'll add for a little bit of a different perspective of gameplay for whichever character you play as. It'll be interesting because there'll be quite a few celebrity cameos for their OCs in this game, and that's what the Indiegogo project really revolves around, is your ability to fund this project and then have your OC put in the game, either as a bystander, an NPC, or someone you interact with, or even a villain or a boss, depending on which level you'll fund the project as. I would like to reiterate that this is our first project, and we will only produce the project to its highest extent of quality, as well as every game that we can afterwards, that hopefully will increase in quality as well. Essentially, a little history about what we do is that I have been producing tabletop RPGs for about 5 years now for a local gaming group, and so if you would like, after funding on the project, you may also request a copy of the RPG manual and everything that this story actually was played on, the system itself, the loot, everything, and then how to play the game. Maverick's Quest for the Master Key, which is the tabletop RPG that this game was actually based off of. So not only will you be able to donate at any level, but also receive the manual and the playing material for the RPG itself, so that even if you only contribute $1, you can still have something to bring back and play with your friends and show off and be able to have your own adventure as your own character on the same story. So you could basically have your own adventure and then play it side by side with the actual adventure to see how your characters interacted with the same scenarios that the main characters in Master Key were faced with. A little bit of information on the game and the characters itself is that the leader of the group and the suggested one that you play, and the suggested character that you play as, is Gherkin Hasenbacher. He is a young unicorn that has been summoned by Celestia for his abilities in medical knowledge and the art of healing. Is basically kind of the pacifist character, but if you threaten him or anyone that he loves, he will not be afraid to fight back. The next character is Artyom Hayden Skyborn. Artyom is a Pegasus with mob connections and grew up in a bad scenario where he was constantly forced to learn fighting styles and fighting magic from the Pegasus standpoint. He is kind of a down-on-his-luck warrior that has been evicted from his military and has been summoned for his fighting styles and his ability to complete the job. Next is the playable character McDoodle, who, yes, he does appear to look like Discord a bit, and that is explained in the story, but he is kind of a chaos mage that you can play as. If you are really curious as to how he becomes this way, then you should definitely follow the project and play the game, even if you don't contribute, because the game will be free, and so everyone will be able to play this game. Because I'm producing it just from the standpoint of having something to do, and from the fact being that this story is something that my friends, the ones that played these characters in the game itself, when it was a tabletop RPG, their stories just need to be told. And it's just really an experience that I really want to share with everybody. There are 2 more characters, Shadow Wing, who has lost his arm and came from an abusive past to where his family wasn't there, and he had to grow up in the house of the mayor that he loved. But eventually she had died, and he had become the hardened soldier that he is now. Lastly is the character, the warrior class, Zakundi. She is a young Zebrakin warrior, and believe it or not, she was the character that was played by the voice that you're hearing now, me. I created this character as an insert as the person in charge, which is also known as the DM, the Dungeon Master. Even though there wasn't much involvement in dungeons, that's still just a general term for the leader of an RPG, the essential omnipotent being that controls everything. I inserted this character to help the other characters along in the things that they needed to do. So essentially that's the characters' bios themselves, if you wanted to learn about that. All of this money is going to go towards the realization and the utilization of our team and our hardware and our software. Obviously, the things that we are hoping for is the full $500 for the funding. If we don't reach that, we are essentially going to start with the most important thing, the gaming software, and go from there on things that we would need afterwards. If we don't raise any more than $60, which is the bare minimum we would need to do this in any way, then we can still produce the game, ultimately. However, it would take longer, and it would be a much more painstaking process. If we only raise a few dollars, that's fine. We appreciate the support, and we would still be able to create the game, but we'd have to fund it ourselves out of our own pocket, and we would have to wait for quite a long time in order to get the project started and completed. And we appreciate everyone's support and funding and all this. If this isn't your thing, or you don't really appreciate the project, or you don't like gaming all in entirety, then please don't leave negative comments, or don't be telling people that what we're doing is a scam or anything like that. And I really think that I can anticipate the release of this game as quite the I think it would be quite the fandom favorite. I think that it will be interesting because this will be the very first, to my knowledge, the very first full chapter-by-chapter RPG with experience, leveling up, items, and everything like that, and that's mostly because of the Hasbro copywriting. We will face this in stride, hopefully, with the fact being that we've researched the copyright laws, and we've seen that there are ways to get around it. Ultimately, Celestia, Luna, and Discord are pretty much the only three names that will be mentioned in the game that have any kind of a copyrighted material. However, being as we won't be making money from this game, and we won't be profiting in any way, and we're not using any sound, video, or imagery that is of copyrighted material, we're pretty safe as far as copyright cease and desists come. However, you know how Hasbro loves to put it out there to stop doing the projects that have the Hasbro created content in them. Ultimately, I appreciate you stopping by and taking a look at this page, and I would hope that if you comment below, leave a like on the page, share it with your friends, all of these things will get you entries for prizes at every level, and you can potentially win the contributing levels as a freebie that you get from sharing, commenting, and leaving likes on the page. We appreciate your support and your attention to the project itself, and we would hope that when this game is released, because it will be, even if we don't receive funding, this game will be produced. It is my lifelong dream to have been producing games, and I will be hopefully executing on that stance. That when it comes out, you will be able to play it, you'll be able to download it, and you would leave a positive like on it, and we could further ourselves in the Game Jolt community, and I would appreciate your support and likes when we get going. Thank you so much, and this has been John Seeley, aka Captain Mandible.